Good morning, everyone. Wow.
Good
Light
morning.
crowd on a
Good
Monday.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, there's all our friends. They're starting to roll in. Roberto, where's your tiny coffee today? I got a smoothie instead.
I just put it away. I have a different model. It's a black cup now.
Oh.
I got all the colors in the world.
I love it. All right, gang. We are putting up the student resources in the chat. You'll also find the link to the Facebook group if you have not joined it yet. Please do so because we do put out announcements and different things up there. And then how's it been going with the daily check-in? And don't lie to me, I see it. So don't lie to me. I mean, I see it. I know who's clicking. I know who's putting this stuff in. Should lie to me. Is Gary actually in the car or is that just his picture in the car? There you are. You're not in the car today, Gary. All right, we'll give our friends just a few minutes. You have got an instructor who's going to be rolling in around 9:30 today. It's Virginia, so she can hop in, and when she does, introduce herself. I am going to introduce you to Miss Jamie Camarada from the Andover Mass Market Center. Introduce yourself, Jamie girl.
What's up? Good morning. Good morning. I'm excited to be here. It's Monday. I am still in kind of COVID quarantine, so I'm still coming to you guys and didn't cancel. Although it's like my whole house has COVID. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in the world in the last 3 weeks, but don't trust those stay-at-home tests. So yes, my name is Jamie Camarada. I'm a team leader in the Andover Market Center. I've been a team leader for 7 years. I know, crazy. It's time for a switch up for sure at some point. And I got into real estate about 2009. I have 3 boys. One's at St. Michael's College in Vermont. And then I have one in high school at St. John's Prep, and then one in middle school. We own 2 restaurants here in the Andover area. So we're busy. We're always busy, but I'm really excited to bring value proposition to you guys today. It's my favorite, to be honest. If at the end of the day, if you don't know what your value proposition is to your clients, I don't know where you start, right? So we're going to learn how to customize your value proposition. What exactly is a value proposition? And this is very interactive today. So like Brooke said, Virginia will be joining us around 9:30. 9:45, so you'll have both of us today. And anytime that you have a question, please ask. This is for you. This is information that I already know. At this point, I think Brooke already knows. And so we're just dying to just put all this information on you. So when somebody's in the jungle over here, I see that we're playing with some of our filters. Okay, so we have a bunch of ADD in the room. I love it. Okay, so
it's how it is on a Monday. And if you can put your video on, we love to see your faces. I know it's Monday. Listen, this is no wash hair from over the weekend. I brushed it. My teeth are brushed. I'm telling you, this makeup is a filter. I got the sun beating me up. I can't get away from it. Look at this. I'm blinded. How about how your shiny personalities are blinding me this morning?
Bright like a diamond. Here you are, Brooke. It's your spotlight. Here it is.
If you can, please put your video on. It's what gives us energy. You're not going to scare us. I have a 5-year-old girl. You can't scare me anymore. She's crazy. So I'm Brooke Silva. For those of you who have not met me before, I am your regional technology trainer. So all things nerdy, all things command, all things tech to make you run a bigger business. And you've seen my crazy butt jumping here and there, in and out of these. So let's talk about last week. We had a really cool guest on last week from the Maryland, DC region. We had Jack Crutchfield Jr. How was he, guys? Right? And you're allowed to come off of mute. That's that little button at the bottom left with the thing right now. You hit it. Tell me about it. What was something, your one aha? Give me something.
One thing he did was,
Go ahead.
One thing he did was give us the idea of saying something like an affirmation right before you make a phone call. which was really cool.
Did he give you an affirmation? Like, these people are going to pick up and want to hear from me.
Yeah, I forget what it was, but it was something you could customize for yourself. And it was could be based on your goals. Like, I want to pay for my daughter's college, so I'm going to make this phone call.
Ooh.
Ooh, and more positive than that, more positive.
Mama needs a new Louis Vuitton. I will make this call. Just kidding. I don't love those prices.
Yeah.
Brooke with the Louis Vuitton. We're talking about college here.
I know, right? Listen, I'm past that stage of my life. Those kids are gone. They're out of the house.
He's so amazing, but he's so fantastic. But I've never heard, that's a really great one, because a lot of you freeze when it comes to the opportunity of asking for business. And you're in the business of asking for business. If that's not what you're doing here today, let's have a different conversation once this training's over. You can't be a secret agent. And so in order for him to make phone calls, when you really associate why you're doing what you're doing with something, whether it is a financial thing or it's something different, and using an affirmation on why you're doing it, or having a picture in front of you. We talk about visionary boards and things like that. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, then it keeps your goal going. When you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, then you're going to struggle achieving your goal, because you're going to be distracted a lot because you really don't understand the purpose or the goal at the end. So I love that. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, we have a team leader in Maine who has that on his phone every morning. He has something that texts himself a picture and a reminder of what he's doing and why he's doing it every day. I love the verbal, though. It's because it's right in front of you. Print it out, write it down, get it in front of you.
I think the one in Maine, Brooke. So when you save an alarm on your phone,
that's what he does.
Yep. And you hear that annoying sound, which I can't even stand that sound even when I'm out and about. Everyone has the same sound. It's this annoying. Yeah,
you're like, is that me? Is it my time?
Yeah. So he changes the alarm word to say, you get to get up today. Like, instead of always saying like, oh, I have to do the laundry, or I have to go grab the kids, or I have to go do something. Hey guys, we're lucky that we get up to go do the laundry. We are lucky to pay for the mortgage, by the way. There are a lot of homeless people that would love to be paying for a mortgage. And so it really does start with mindset. And I'm a huge component about that. And so we're going to dive into that, because that's what it's all about. So speaking of mindset, Brooke, we are going to get started.
Let's hit it.
I'm going to share my beautiful screen.
We hope. Oh, let me stop sharing my computer sound. There you go.
Yes. Could you please stop with the Michael Jackson?
That was really good, girl. Come on now. We got a little Michael in the morning.
I love you. I love you.
Beautiful.
All right. So see, it's not so scary. Most of the time we're going to be looking at the screen ahead. You do have your side margin of looking at each other. But for the most part, we're going to be looking at the material. And I really encourage you to know how to unmute yourself, ask questions, jump in, and don't be scared, because if you're on my screen and I'm asking a question, I might just yell out your name. So be ready. We already saw that some of us have ADD on the call, so let's go. All right, so today is Ignite Skills to Spark a Great Career, and we will be delivering your value proposition. So let's get started. So what successful agents do every day? You have been learning that there is working on your business and working in your business. And so in order for you to work in your business, you really need to have a game plan on working on your business and what that looks like. So to grow a real estate business, every day you need to lead generate for buyers and sellers. You need to make seller listing presentations and obviously get listings, because listings is the name of the game. Make buyer presentations to get listings. Once again, do we see a common theme here? Listings, listings, listings. And preview real estate. So that would be on the weekends going to open houses. If your community has broker open, it's another way to learn who's in the industry and what the inventory looks like. Remember, when you look online at properties, they look glamorous. right now, many of you have a really nice filter in the background, or Brooke said that she has makeup on her filter, which I don't even know how to do. But in this society, it is, what we're looking at online, it looks, wow, magical, some of these online photos of the houses. But when you really go to the houses, sometimes I'm like, I don't remember seeing that in the slideshow of that house. I don't remember the 7-Eleven being next door. It looked like it was a wooded area. And so it's your job to know what the market looks like physically and build relationships with those in the industry. Every day you need to run your business. So what does that look like? Well, we're marketing sellers' listings. We're showing buyer houses, negotiating contracts, transaction management to closing. That's all that great paperwork that you're going to learn about in your market centers. Vendor management is an important one. That, I like to say, is relationship skills. So all of those people, how many of you, and just raise your hand, get your lawn cut? How many of you have had a plumber problem and you have to call a plumber? How many times have you had to call an electrician? It doesn't matter if you rent or own. You've always had to pick up the phone to call someone, even if it's your landlord. And because of that, those people, they're in the real estate industry every day and they don't even know it because we haven't taught them that. And so your relationships with vendors, we're going to be talking about, because that's a great way to get into the business as well. You will be setting goals, and that's what we'll be talking about, compliance and risk management. Attend trainings like this and get coached, and how to manage money, which is everyone's favorite. Many of you are probably saying, I don't even have a transaction yet, I have nothing to manage. That's still fine. You still have bills, so we're gonna go the opposite way. All right, so today, this is our journey, our roadmap to what we'll be learning. Defining your value, we are going to be exploring the 3 aspects of service. From there, we will be digging into know and state your value proposition. We need to craft and deliver our value. So we have to understand, what does this even mean? What does she mean by value proposition? Which we're really going to spend a good hour digging into what that is. Then we're going to do a recap and ahas. We will have a couple of breakout sessions once Virginia's on. And then we will continue to give accountability and homework about building daily habits of success. So, all right. So as a value proposition, as a team leader, it's my job to deliver a value proposition to the agents throughout the market center. So my value proposition to the agents is providing a comfortable, fun, energetic environment that has support, encouragement, systems, tools for people to learn how to sell real estate. Okay, so this is the launch. You're launching your career, you're sparking your career. The people that have been in it for a little while, they're actually growing. They're really growing their real estate career. And then we have some agents who have capped, obviously making 100% of their commission, and their mastery, but they're always learning too. And it's our job as a market center to provide all 3 levels of training, support, encouragement in order for everyone to be successful. And so for you, you're doing the same thing with your clients. There are 3 levels of clients. There are the clients that have never purchased anything and they've only rented. There are people that have purchased their first home. And as you probably have learned so far, a person from start to finish, they usually buy between 3 to 7 homes. Okay, you get that first condo, after you rent, then there's children involved maybe, or you want, you really want to mow your lawn, so you want a property, whatever it is, but it takes you through the process of the home process. So there's that. And so those people are in like the growth. And then the people that are investors and flippers, that would be the mastery group. So it's your job to be able to cater to all 3 levels of customer service for both buyers and sellers. All right, then we're going to go over at the end, building daily habits, building your database. We're going to get a little bit into command, which will be great. Script practice. We'll see if there's time to do a little bit of script practice. I know that you have accountability partners. What we've noticed is I put up and Brooke put up the drive where all this information is. That's where your toolkit is. That's where your scripts are. I really encourage, as you go through the Ignite program, and you don't have to be as organized as me, I'm not saying that, but everything is printed, which you can't see because it's all blurred, but everything is printed in this binder for today's stuff, so that I can just go right to what I'm looking for, working with buyers, working with sellers. What was defining my value proposition? So wherever you're taking your notes, we're going to be talking about that. Lead generating, how are you lead generating? Not everybody is comfortable picking up the phone. Who here is ready and able and willing to pick up the phone in front of all of us here and just cold call a neighborhood? I know. Everybody is like, me. You just totally want to unmute yourself. Well, lead generating is different for everyone. Maybe you love going to the grocery store every day and that's your thing. When you're standing in line, that's lead generating. Maybe you like to go to your local pub or hang out at a bar or at a restaurant. Everywhere you go, book club, family events, it doesn't matter, school, PTO, you could always be lead generating and asking people, are they interested in buying, selling, investing, or renting in real estate? So we will be going through that as well. Okay. So what does it mean to you, a value proposition? And this is the interactive part. I know, stretch it out, get excited, hit that unmute button. Value proposition. What does that mean to you?
It's something that makes you unique in the eyes of someone else, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Special.
Yeah. So I love that word, unique. It's a description that benefits the customer, what they will get for with working with you. What are they going to get from you if they work with you? What's the unique thing that you present? Is it your market knowledge? Is it your negotiating skills? What exactly do you think that you bring to the table? Now, this is where I kind of say break script on this. And I want you to share in the chat, and I want a couple people to unmute themselves. What did you do before real estate? Or if you're in a dual job, what do you do right now? Dual career.
One of the things that I bring is my experience in zoning and building and community development. So I always say, if you have a zoning issue, just ask me, I can help you with that. Or showing them a house and saying, you can expand in this way. And we'll check the zoning records just to see how far you can expand out. Oh.
Yeah, that's okay. So when we start building your value proposition, absolutely. If you've been exposed in the building and zoning area, that could be very, very knowledgeable for those, especially with new construction. There's a lot of new construction going on, believe it or not. And there's a lot of permits involved, right? And so you having those contacts is a great advantage, because sometimes, as you know, the town isn't just sitting there waiting for Brooke's phone call to say, Brooke, what could I help you with today?
I mean, are you sure? Because when I go down there, I bring cookies. They're excited to see me at the town hall. So.
I mean, friendly people, but they're just, I don't know, their hours are kind of funky. So yeah, that's definitely an advantage. What else do we have on here? What jobs do we do?
So let me tell you some of them, because they're really interesting and diverse. And this is one of the things I love. I love this about our world. So we have people who are in healthcare. I've seen a lot of servers and property management, but the one I want to call out is Roberto's. I was the manager of luxury hotels all around the world. We've just met our newest, brightest luxury star friends.
Oh my. The word luxury and the name Roberto,
right?
Hand in hand.
But tell us about that real quick. What did you do?
Yeah, I used to work for hotels. I'm originally from Italy and born and raised there, but I traveled the world thanks to a hotel. I used to work for Four Seasons and Mandarin Oriental.
Wow.
A total of about 25 years almost. Started very young, both Europe, Asia, and of course, North America. But then I decided that was it. I wanted to do something that had a little bit more predictability as far as where I get to pick to live, where I get to pick my hours of operations and things like that. And now I'm reinventing my second career.
That's amazing.
Love
That's
it.
amazing.
And it's
love
funny, when I first considered this this business, I felt that it was appropriate for me because I always made a comparison between a customer who, which in my case has been quite a bit, customers or guests that decides to, you know, spend, I don't know, upwards of, I even had $1 million on a wedding, right? And I can bring those skills of negotiating such deal to someone who actually wants to buy $1 million home, for argument's sake, right? So it's that's why I'm excited about today's class particularly.
I'm
Yeah.
excited for you. And you know, you'll love how, I'm sure as you get into these classes, KW has a really cool philosophy on luxury where luxury is not a price point, luxury is an experience.
Yes.
And if you can apply that to every human, whether they're buying a mobile home, a piece of land, or a multi-million-dollar home, it's the experience we bring along the way. So I'm so excited. Thank you for coming off of mute and sharing that with us.
My
We
pleasure.
have diamond sales.
So,
That's cool.
I'll take one of those.
Right? Like,
Right. So what I'm reading here, though, on here, everybody needs to effectively communicate. So that's number one, right? So defining your value proposition, it's the worst feeling when you have an opportunity for business or to have a conversation with someone and you leave that environment, you go to your car and you either are talking to a friend on the phone about the experience or meeting someone or whatever, and somebody says, oh my God, did you ask them this? Or, you know, did you mention this? And you're like, oh, I should have said that. Okay, that I should have said that. That's what we need to define today. So for Roberto, in luxury, you know, though it doesn't matter if, like Brooke said, it's the experience. You want to be able to provide what he does now, successfully integrated within 60 seconds of what he did previous. Whether you're a waitress, a bartender, a salon owner, you have business entrepreneurial skills. And so our job is to define those skills so that when someone's hiring you, like somebody said, we want to understand what's your unique value. What makes you different than all the other real estate agents that have their real estate license, okay? And so, I mean, when I got into real estate personally, it's not something I wanted to do. I was a school teacher. I wasn't a business owner yet. I didn't think like a business owner. I taught third grade. God bless me. Thank God I don't do that now on Zoom. And you know, that's what I knew. And when I got into real estate, I had no idea what I was doing. But I knew that if I could teach children, to be honest with you, from start to finish, September to June, I could take anyone through a process with systems and tools and support from start to finish. The other thing I have to be honest is I looked around my environment and where I live and I'm like, oh, if Brooke can sell real estate, then I can sell real estate too, right?
anyway.
Exactly. So we want to move forward on the defining of the value proposition. And we want to talk about how the values leads directly to 3 aspects of service. Let me see. And I have a Mac. I don't know. Every time I hit my space button, Brooke, what's going on?
Use your arrows, your right arrow. There you go.
I know I brought my whole entire Mac computer just so all of you know.
The big iMac? You have the big iMac at home?
This was me carrying out the whole entire screen out of my office for all of you because, you know, I still have symptoms of COVID. I'm sweating right now is one of them. And so, yes. Okay. So right here, when Gary Keller was researching for the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, he noted that every top producing agent he spoke with had a deep and almost inherent sense of service. You cannot grow a real estate business if you don't prioritize your client's experience above all else. So you're going to hear the word customer service and experience through the entire day today. A stellar experience is how you earn your commission or get referrals, and that's what we're in the business for. So knowing the underlying purpose of the real estate profession is one purpose. The value proposition is have and communicate a clear sense of who and what you deliver on that purpose. And then number 3, we all have that amazing care, obedience, due diligence, fiduciary responsibility to exhibit your client's needs above all. And the fiduciary section, we're going to tap dance around a little bit of it because I know that some of us are from Massachusetts. I know this is where we cue a tap dancer. Some are from Connecticut, Rhode Island, and all forms are different, and some of the rules and regulations are different as well. So I encourage you, we're going to just cover, as Brooke likes to say, we are going to, I think you said scuba dive.
Yeah, we're not deep diving. No, we're jet skiing.
Snorkeling today. We're going to deep dive into fiduciary responsibilities. All right, so what is the underlying purpose of real estate? It's different for buyers and sellers. For buyers, it's about what? What are buyers trying to do?
They're trying to buy the house of their dreams.
Trying to find their dream home, right? It's about them finding their dream home at the best what?
The best price.
At the best price in the right amount of time, because usually they're renting or they're having a baby, they're getting married, their parents are moving in, life circumstances, with the least amount of problems. Yeah, right. Working with buyers, yeah, right. There's always going to be problems, okay? So when we go back to the value that you bring about being a problem solver or thinking on your feet, you're everything. You are everything when you represent buyers and sellers, okay? It's not just market knowledge. It's not just negotiating skills. It's not just organization. It's also problem solving and being creative and asking great questions. And so we want to create the least amount of problems for both buyers and sellers. And for sellers, what is their number one purpose? Show me the what?
Money.
Show me the money. So it's about netting them the most for their property, okay? And that's sometimes hard to do because in their head, they have compared their property online with that big Z word. What is the Z word?
Zillow.
Zillow. And they're getting a zestimate of how much their property is worth in today's market. And so in their head, they're already doing the numbers. When in reality, we have to show them and walk them through the process of the homes that have been sold in the last 30 to 60 days based on their square footage and criteria to show them, I know that you bought these beautiful chandeliers from Italy, Roberto, but that was something you decided to do. You still only own a 1,200 square foot property on the line of a railroad, okay? And so it's your job to educate the buyers and sellers. It's significant that one phrase is shared with buyers and sellers with the least amount of problems. And that's why you have to be solution-based and you have to come up with solutions for all the problems that will occur. So as a realtor, what problems so far, or are you anticipating for your clients? And what have you done to avoid them? So has anybody worked yet with any buyers or sellers and had any bumps yet? And how did you solve it?
I've had an experience with septic tank inspection.
Fun. And
Very interesting.
okay, and so you had a problem, briefly describe what the problem is and what was the solution?
The problem was that the buyer was expecting a certain price amount for the cost of the inspection. The problem was that they had to excavate some of the property because the actual septic tank, the part where you access it was supposed to be 12 inches underground, but this one was 5 feet underground.
Okay.
So there was additional charges. And so I was actually assisting someone else with this inspection, but I still had a role to play. I had to keep the person in mind of negotiation. I kept saying negotiate everything. Not knowing what they were doing on the other side, I just had to disclose whatever I saw. It was kind of complicated, but the young lady was frustrated because, it was extra cost. She wasn't prepared for it. She was trying not to pay anything over that amount, but the negotiation took place. The excavation took place, everything was fine, and they moved on. But it was a 3-day process.
Yeah, there are gonna be hiccups. There are gonna be hiccups when there's things like a septic. And if you're not familiar with this, you need, at least in Massachusetts, you need a passing Title V in order to purchase the property with a lender. Now, if it's cash, cash solves everyone's problems.
Mhm.
But when it comes to a bank's not gonna take that responsibility and risk, and so it needs to be addressed. And here's the thing, you know, being calm, cool, and collective in any type of heated situation, which will occur in real estate, is what's going to make you different than other real estate agents. So the way that you deliver the news or figure out what's going to happen. I mean, again, when you're going on a listing and you're asking questions to the seller, you're only believing what the seller says. Oh, I see that you checked off the seller's disclosure. You have a septic. Have you had any known problems? What do they usually say? No. Right. Yet their toilets have been backing up because they haven't had it pumped for 3 years, right?
20 years in this case.
Okay, well, that's just horrible. Yeah, okay, that's like not getting an oil change on your car. Okay, you have to do that, which I used to not when I was a child, but I'm an adult now. And so I do it every 3 months if it needs it or not. And so
Yeah.
You're right, the way that you dealt with that situation, sometimes there's going to be controversy, and there's going to be excitement, and there's going to be blame. And guess who's at blame, by the way? You're
Wasn't
in the
me.
middle, guys. Yeah, you're the classifier. How did you not know? I don't know, because I wasn't the Title V checker. I didn't go into the ground. Like, I didn't know. Like, so it's all on how you solve the problems immediately. And if you can't, and by the way, I'm going to say this a million times today, if you don't know the answer to something, please say to buyers and sellers, that is a great question. Let me find out the answer for you. When it comes to things like environmental, I know that somebody said that they were in the building and zoning. Okay, redirect your client to pick up the phone to call that person at the town hall to get the answer themselves from the town hall. Because at the end of the day, when something goes wrong, it's just life. Everyone's looking for that go-to Jack, right? That go-to person, when really I want to say, why don't we stand in the mirror and look at ourselves? So when you don't know something, please don't lie. Don't be like, yeah, you can put a pool. Please don't say that. I know the environmental person. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. She would say the same thing. Say, please, that's a great question. It does look like there's a lot of woods back there. If you give the town hall a call, let them know the property that you might be purchasing. They can give you a better print of the land, and with the proper inspections on the property, they'll be able to tell you. Okay, so you're correct. You're correct. So, and great job with the septic, by the way. All right, so that's the purpose of real estate. So value proposition. So let's define what that exactly is. So your value proposition distills your service offering into a set of benefits for your client. It states what you do from the client to earn your commission and helps to explain the complexity of what you do. It also holds you accountable to high standards all at the same time. So I'm going to repeat that. Your value proposition, because you're going to be writing your own value proposition. So take some notes on this one. Your value proposition distills your service offering into a set of benefits for your client. It states what you're going to do for the client to earn your commission. It helps to explain the complexity of what you do, and whatever you say in this value proposition helps hold you accountable to the high standards that you have as your value. So as we reflect on this definition, what do you see as the value of your value proposition? Like, why is it important to have the 3 aspects? Fiduciary responsibility, knowledge.
Shows professionalism. It keeps you accountable.
Keeps you accountable, professionalism. What else?
your client needs to be able to trust that you have their best interest at heart.
Mhm. And they have to know that they're hiring you for something that they can't do. See, you have to have something that they can't do. Think about for sale by owners. Everyone thinks that they can put a stick in the ground and sell their house. And the reason why they think that is because they don't want to pay someone. But to be honest with you, I could probably cut my own hair, color my own hair, but I'm not. That would be a chia pet experience all day long. Okay. I'm not doing that. I'm going to leave it to the professionals to do certain things. Now, could I do my nails myself? Yeah. But are they going to look as great as the salon? No. But if I go to a wedding, what do I want to do? I want to go to the salon and get them done. So this is the biggest financial asset that someone has. And so I would want to leave it to the professionals. So there has to be knowledge that you can get or have, or skill sets that you have, that they need you, not just want you, they need you to be hired to sell their property. So what things do you think that you need to a buyer or seller? What do you need to have? So throw out some of these keywords or key phrases.
Connections with other buyers and sellers who are in the market.
Perfect. Okay. Connections with buyers and sellers in the market.
Knowledge of the
knowledge?
market.
That's what
What
I
is
was just gonna say.
Oh, I said knowledge of the market.
You have to have knowledge of the market. How are you going to get knowledge of the market?
By digging in all the data that is perhaps only available to us as real estate professionals.
Okay, yep, going into MLS, multiple listing service, or whatever your domain is in whatever state you are, and being able to look on the back end of that stuff. Okay, what else did we talk about earlier that you should be doing on the weekends?
Going to open houses.
I can't explain that enough. When you walk through an open house, throw down your card. My name's Jamie Camerata. I'm just checking this property out for some clients. Are you lying? No. You can meet a client that evening at an event that's looking for a 2-bedroom, small community, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh my God, I just saw that today. Number 2, you just built a relationship with the list agent, because the more that the agents see your face and hear your name, when you submit an offer on behalf of your buyers, they're not going to be like, Jamie Camerata, who? Even if I haven't sold a piece of property. So think about that. We're all nervous on our first piece of property. We're all nervous to do our first listing, and we have no idea sometimes when we're working with buyers. We're just so excited that we're sweating trying to open up a lockbox. We're getting there 30 minutes early when you first start. And so you want to come across as that maybe you're not so new. And one of those ways is to go view the properties to get market knowledge and build relationships with the professionals. What else do we have that we think should be included that we see as a value as a real estate agent?
Marketing resources.
Marketing resources.
Yeah.
Negotiation skills.
Somebody.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Somebody last week said something really smart, which is, you belong to a massive network called Keller Williams. And I jotted down that you're not only hiring me, you're also hiring everyone else within that organization. And that's, quite powerful. And I've actually used that sentence with a relations of mine.
Correct. We have sold over 960 properties this year. Yet in your head, you're like, I haven't sold anything. I don't know if I can say that. Well, you were talking about your company. We at Keller Williams have sold 960, units this year. When you become confident in the value that you bring, that is when clients will want to work with you. If you don't feel comfortable and if you're nervous and you don't understand that value, I might hesitate whether or not I want to work with you. Most of your first transactions are done with people that you know. And for the most part, it's usually a buyer. It's a friend looking for a property. And so they're going to want to work with you. Why? At that point, why do they want to work with you?
Because they know you.
Because they know you. They don't know that you just beep, beep, got your real estate license a month ago and haven't worked with anybody. They don't know any of that. And by the way, they don't want to know. That is not what they want to know. They want to know that you're going to be able to put them onto a drip campaign with properties in the areas that they have defined that fit their wants and needs within the price range that they're looking for, that you'll effectively communicate, that you'll proactively show up, call, text, check in with them, send them to open houses, and that when we get to the time where we need to write an offer, you have taken that forms class, that's the fiduciary responsibility that you have, so that you can actually fill out the 2-page report and protect your clients as best as possible. But they don't want to know all the other stuff, right? The stuff behind the curtain. They just want to know this. It's like being at a restaurant. How many of you have ever worked in a restaurant? All right, so I own 2 restaurants, and you know what? One of them is a fine dining steak, seafood, and works just like Ramsay's Kitchen. Okay. And then the other one is more of a signature sandwich shop that has like an open concept window that you can see in. And you see those, they're hustling in a very small area and producing a huge amount of volume. Like, I don't even know how we produce that much volume of stuff within that small kitchen. Where the newer restaurant is a luxurious, amazing, stretched out kitchen. And so no one wants to know what happens behind the scenes and who's in the weeds and 86 this and sweating and swearing and this and that. All they want is that they sat down and they want a nice meal. They want the waiter to show up, even if it's their first day. I don't care. I don't care it's your first day. Did you take my order? Did you check in with me? Did you know the stuff on the menu? You might have been nervous, but it doesn't matter. And so you have to have confidence in that market knowledge. The negotiation skills, why is that important? That's really important, negotiations.
You get the best deal for them.
Yeah, they're gonna want to know, based on who you're representing, that you're not just going to, for if you're representing a seller and their property is at 600 and a 550 offer comes in, that you're not like, just take this one, it's really great. 550, yeah, take that one. Don't be driven by the commission of it. Know the market. You know what, 550 is your first offer. I'm gonna go back and I'm going to negotiate that they bring their final and best, and that unfortunately 550 isn't going to do it. And here are some comps if you or your real estate agent need them, but all day long, this is a 600,000 or more property. Okay. What about being bilingual? That has a huge component to it. I mean, I took French for 14 years. I took it through college and all the way elementary and high school. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. French. I can't say anything. I don't even use it. And it was a complete waste of time. But my kids, I'm like, you're taking Spanish, because I wish that I had more knowledge of being bilingual. Italian. I went over to Italy. We opened up a KW in Italy. There's one in Rome. Milan is coming soon. And when I went over there, I could say, Roberto, spacca la faccia. Okay. And they were like, oh my God, crazy girl. And that's it. So I wish that I knew more. I wish that there was a value of that. Okay. All right. So fiduciary is the final aspect of what we're going to be discussing. And how is fiduciary different than functionary? Functionary versus fiduciary. What do you think the difference here is? I'll give you a hint. Fiduciary is both an adjective and a noun. For any of those grammar English majors. It refers to dealing with trust, especially relationships. So you have a fiduciary duty to your clients to protect their best interest during what will likely be the largest and most frightening transaction in their lifetime. They're looking to you for knowledge, but trust and validity and honesty and integrity. It refers to the person who has a fiduciary obligation. You and your clients are fiduciary. A functionary is one who completes the task for the client. Whereas a fiduciary completes the tasks and goes beyond placing their client's interest ahead of all others, even their own. So in Massachusetts, when you're signing the mass disclosure paperwork, when you're being represented and hired to be a buyer's agent or a seller's agent, or a facilitator, so they're going to check something. And when you read the paragraph says, when I'm hiring you, a professional real estate agent, it talks about care, obedience, due diligence as a buyer agent or a seller agent. When you look at facilitator as the language, you're just facilitating. Okay, you're like a traffic cop. Property, you want to write an offer, you want to know if that offer is good, hire me as your buyer agent. You think you're good with that offer and you just want it written? I don't have a fiduciary responsibility to go see if you're overpaying, if this, if that, then I'm going to facilitate the transaction. And so most of the time you're being hired as a buyer agent or a seller agent. And you want to push that. You really don't want to be a facilitator. You don't really see it very often. You see it more so, in my opinion, you see it more so in commercial, which commercial is very different than residential. Your market centers probably have rules of whether or not you can even do commercial. In my market center, you have to refer any commercial properties or opportunities to our commercial team for a referral fee, because there's so much training that you need to do to learn how to sell commercial. When you sell residential, there's different arenas of residential. Selling a single family residence is very different but similar than a condo, than new construction with spec sheets. All of them have their own identity. And so you have a fiduciary responsibility to learn a lot of things. And so hopefully at this point, between going through Ignite, whether it's your team leader, productivity coach, an ALC member, that you have a mentor to go to when you're nervous or apprehensive about these questions, being fiduciary to your clients if you're doing the right thing or asking the right questions. So what are some ways that you serve as your client's fiduciary during a real estate transaction? And we kind of mentioned them today. What do we need to know to be fiduciary?
You need to know that we have to disclose all information.
Disclose, disclose, disclose. That's a great one. Who said that?
Gary.
Gary, that is a fantastic one. It is your job to disclose. If you know it and it's asked of you, you need to disclose it. And that's a big one. Talk about, Gary, were you talking about the septic situation?
Yes.
Okay, so when you're meeting with sellers, I always say to them, you want to disclose everything about this property because it's going to come up at some point. So, and we want the real answers. Please don't be ashamed that if you have a water spot in the ceiling and it's because your kids were taking a bath and it overflowed, and that's the real reason that you had water right there, let's disclose it. Water stain, living room, kids over, kids overdid the bath. Like, it's very simple. When you try to skirt the problems, they're going to come up, whether home inspection or after. And so if you know something, it is your job to disclose this information to the people when asked, okay? And so you do have that fiduciary responsibility. All right, so we're now going to, does anyone have any questions about those three areas now that we can kind of get into defining your value proposition? No, okay. So we'll work for about 10 more minutes on the next topic, and which is collecting some information of value. And then I'll give you guys a 10-minute break if that works. You guys can stretch. And then on our second rounds from 10 to 11, maybe we'll have just a little bit more participation. Some of you have woken up, get that second coffee, put something in your water, a little lift off, because this is for you guys. Okay, so now we're going to talk about your value proposition. We're going to look at some data around what clients want. We're going to get a big picture look at the current real estate market, and we'll discuss some ways that the technology can actually boost your value proposition. Giving your clients your app, being able to design a website specifically for their property called the landing page, communicating effectively with your clientele daily or weekly through smart plans, all the technology that Keller Williams has built, has saved agents a ton of money, because you'd have to go purchase this by third-party companies. But they're the best resources to stay in touch with your clientele and be able to offer that value. Somebody said earlier, marketing. You know, it's really cool when you don't have to pay an extra $1, but I can make a landing page for 30 Tanglewood Lane to show that they have their own website as a seller for their property. Even though that people can see it on Zillow, this, and that, a quick QR code during my open house can capture 5 questions from the people coming into my property. And when they use that QR code and I collect the information, if I've targeted that information, it's going to go to my command platform. And so technology serves a huge benefit here as well. So in your student participant guide, if you have it, pages 4 to 6, and if you don't, that's okay too, because we're going to put it up on the screen. We're going to reflect on your value. Before we do that, I want you to take a look at page 5 in the participant guide, and there's a space to write about yourself, your strengths and your perspectives. Now, if you don't have this, please just take a piece of paper, because you engaging in some of these activities and these little pauses that we do, you're going to need this, because by the end, I want you to be able to create your value proposition, or at least be 3/4 of the way to having it, so that you can go to your team leader, your coach, your mentor, once you've written what your value is, for them to look at it. And when Virginia joins, she might be here now, but I'm not sure. She's accessible. If you want to text me, I'll take a look at it. It's one of my favorite things, like I told you. So we'll be putting our information in the chat box as well. So take a couple of minutes to just brain dump some of the strengths that you have about yourself. Your perspectives, the strengths that you currently have now. Okay, so some of you might say market knowledge. You have to have market knowledge, but we don't have that yet. But what do you currently have now that you would say are strengths of yours? So take a couple of minutes and write down some keywords or key phrases. If you're stuck at any point, how would people who personally know you describe you? If you can't do it yourself, how would somebody describe you? And what skills do you have that make you a great real estate agent? These are the questions. What skill sets do you have?
You know, it's funny. I can always tell when we're playing this, when this is the Ignite session we're teaching, because all of a sudden tomorrow I'm going to see all these Facebook posts, and tonight, if you had to describe me in 3 words,
what would the 3 words be? It's hard. It's hard when you're thinking about yourself. You know, we don't usually think about ourselves. We're naturally born to think about other people for the most part.
And everybody feels like it's bragging. You're not bragging. This is a job. Like, you are applying for the job to help them buy or sell at this point. So it's a job application. You wouldn't go in with a blank resume or job application to be like, you know, I've got skills, but I'd rather talk to you about what,
yeah.
You know.
I know. And you know what? And that's why I say sometimes think about it from what would others describe you as? Because then maybe if you know that your friends would describe you as friendly, energetic, you might not see yourself as that, because we're all hard on ourselves, by the way. But if others see you like that, then that is a value proposition that you have. If I'm always energetic and using my hands and this is who I am, this is who I am. If I'm more reserved and quiet and I'll use the word like polite, then that's who I am. So who are you? I know it's going to take a couple minutes. Who are you?
Do, 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 do. I'm making my playlist for the next one. I don't even know why I didn't have this on the playlist.
I know. And you can't even play any music.
I mean, I could. I'm a techie. I could.
Listen, if you're in real estate, you have a touch of like that 3-letter acronym. So I don't want to distract you guys too much. But we are going to ask for you to participate and at least put in the chat box one word or verbally from everybody here. Because by the end, you should be taking all these words. And even if you couldn't find any for yourself or just one, write all these other words down and really think to yourself, is that me? All right, what do we got for words?
Reliable. We're seeing reliable. We're seeing patient. We are seeing good listener. And I'll tell you guys to use observant or attentive instead of good listener on certain things. It just ups your, what else? Determined. I like that. Diplomatic. That is a great one. Reliable, thoughtful, dependable. We got some dependable people in here. Industrious. We got a hustler. That's what that means. We got
hustling. I love these. These are really great words. If you don't know where your chat box is, by the way, at the bottom of and I say this because not everybody really knows how to use Zoom, and I'm serious. At the bottom, there's the word chat. Please click the word chat. You'll see all of these words. Write them down. Motivated, optimistic, observant, understanding, attentive. All of these words describe everybody to a degree. So, motivated. Everyone is motivated at something. Do we agree or disagree? Right? You have to even be motivated to do nothing. Those people that just don't want to do anything, well, you're motivated not to do anything. That's a fact. But motivated is everyone. Hardworking. Well, that's everyone's definition is different. It's not my job to evaluate that Gary is more hardworking than Brooke, which is hardworking than Rob. I mean, you're doing the best that you can every day. One of the things that my dad said to me, and I'll just take a moment here. My dad never went to college. He worked as a police officer. He worked at BU as a maintenance guy. He had 5 different jobs. I got to see my dad every other Saturday. He shared it with my sister and I from 1 to 3. So he'd do a detail, he'd sleep all day. And whoever Saturday it was, we brought him up his coffee and we got to do something special for a couple of hours before his next detail on Saturday. And so my dad didn't feel like he was very educated. He barely graduated high school, but he loved Dale Carnegie. Loved Dale Carnegie. And he loved Anthony Robbins and he loved these motivational things. And when I was young, I just wanted my dad to read Judy B. Jones. I just wanted a little Judy Blume. Like if there was going to be a storybook at night, I wanted something that I wanted. And before my dad would read a book when he was available, he would always read a chapter of these influential books. And he never realized that he was actually planting the seeds that I needed to become the person that I am. And one thing that he said about people that I didn't believe when I was younger, but I truly believe it as an adult, is every day, every person that you meet, given that moment of time and space, is showing up the best that they possibly can, given their circumstances. So what does that mean? It means when I'm at CVS or the grocery store and I have a rude bagger or a rude cashier or not the best experience from the bartender, or whatever is going on. Our first instinct wants to put a negative tonality onto that person. But really, we have no idea what just happened to them before they hit the shift. And I don't know what they're experiencing in their personal life. So to be honest, that person might be having a bad day, but that's the best that they can show up given the space and time and energy of what they possibly could have. And so you have to remember that when you're working with buyers and sellers, they're doing the best they can. And so there are going to be a lot of moments where you're going to be challenged on that. And it's how you react versus respond. Be a responder. Nobody wants a reactor, right? And so as we go through these words, you're going to be building, maybe you're like, I collect data and I respond effectively in a timely fashion with emails and phone calls back. I time block my schedule. Like, these are going to be value propositions of working with you when you define who you are, that I work with you. Some of us are very regimented. So it is okay to set expectations for buyers and sellers, by the way, and say that at 6 o'clock, I actually turn my phone off and I spend time with my family. And then I turn it back on at 8 o'clock to respond to emails and texts and things for business, an hour between 8 and 9. Now, if I've set that expectation for my clients, why are they going to be upset? When they're upset? When you didn't set the expectations, right? And everybody wants instant gratification because of this sexy thing called technology. And so everyone thinks that when they text me, Brooke, where's Jamie? How come she hasn't gotten back to me? I'm like, because I'm busy. But if everyone in my market center knows that I respond to emails between 12 and 1:30, then no matter when they wrote that email at night or in the morning, if I'm not getting right back to them, they know that I'm going to get back to them between 12 and 1:30. And so responsible, reliable, reachable, great. Mira, is that how you say your name, Mira? Those are great as well. Professional, good communicator. All right. So that being said, what do buyers want? Let's take a 10-minute break. So I have 10:02. So let's come back at 10:12. Go stretch, get some air, hydrate, bring back a water, play some music, do whatever you have to, and then turn your cameras back on so that we can get into what buyers want versus what sellers want from a real estate agent as we build our value proposition, okay? All right, you may leave. this is your friendly reminder that I would like everybody back in 3 minutes, please. So if you're getting coffee, water, whatever you're doing, make your way back to your computer in the next couple of minutes, please, so we can start on time. All right, one more minute and we will jump back on. In the chat box, I put my information that I'm a team leader at the Andover Market Center, my email, my cell phone number. So again, I definitely, if you have any questions or if you want to share your value proposition with me and you want me to take a look at it once it's completed, don't feel like you're bothering me. I wouldn't tell you, I wouldn't offer it if I didn't welcome it. So if you really need any help or anything like that, please just reach out. And thank you, Brooke. Brooke also put, Facebook, as you know, social media platform. So even if you don't have an online presence in Facebook, jumping into these groups are huge. There's a lot of sharing, a lot of files, a lot of camaraderie, accountability, and others just like you who are either new in real estate, been in real estate for a while and need a refresher. These courses are made and designed for everyone. Even my top agents that I meet with every day are in my office in January, stressing on where business is going to come from and forgetting their value proposition to what they bring to the table. And so having these is like rereading a book. Just because I read John Maxwell, leadership book 2 years ago, I'm going to read it where I am in my time and space today, and I'm definitely going to pick up new things. And so I encourage you to continue taking these classes, even when you think that you've mastered them, because it's great reiteration. So that being said, all right, everybody good? Thumbs up. I'd like to see the cameras on. And again, this is full participation mode. And so there are a lot of people that I've heard from through chat or verbally, and I'd like to hear more because this is for you, because I already know this information, right, Brooke? I know it's only 1 hour in, and I'm already doing like the other voice.
I know we've pulled the third grade teacher out of her. Can we go back? Can we just everybody participate so we don't have to hear the third grade teacher?
You know what? I'm gonna call it that. I thought it was just this like. I have curly hair today, Brooke, and so
yeah, it is curly hair, Jamie. There is a big difference between straight hair, Jamie, and curly hair, Jamie. It's a personality difference.
There is when it's curly, I feel like Sasha Fierce, ready to go. Hey, let's go. When it's straight, I'm very conservative. Although conservative is not in my value proposition. So
no, this could be your pie chart. Which pie is the conservative for Jamie? Doug Gray. A piece of Doug Gray.
It's the red. Do you not see the red mark? Okay, what do buyers want? Okay, so as you see here, buyers want to help to find the right home to purchase at 52%. To help buyers negotiate terms of sale, they're looking, that's about 14% of the population are looking for to help them negotiate the terms. To negotiate the price is at 11%. Now, what's the difference? What's the difference? Price and terms here. Here's a good quote. Get your pen ready. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. How's that? How's that for Sasha Fierce, team leader coming in? Okay. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. You need to be able to negotiate the right terms and the right price for your buyers. They're going to be looking for that from you because honestly, that is a value proposition. They're not doing it themselves. Why? Because they have an emotional attachment to the sale. You might have, and I hope not, an emotional attachment to the commission, which please, please, please don't drive by commission. Drive by units, drive by the passion, drive by what it's going to do for you and your family, okay? So you're in it to protect the client. And with buyers, they need you to do that because honestly, they can't do it themselves. To determine what comparable homes are selling for, so that would be market knowledge, 6%. Help with paperwork, 6%. Now, what does that mean? Buyers, you're going to ask them a bunch of questions. How much would you like to purchase the property? What are we going to be putting down with purchase and sale? What does the loan to value look like? Are you putting 20% down and taking an 80% loan? You're going to have to know application dates, commitment dates, closing dates, terms, conditions. You're going to be learning all of this in a different Ignite working with buyers. But they're going to need help and guidance with a little bit of the paperwork. Determining how much home the buyer can afford, 4%. You have to get good at asking questions. Don't make assumptions. It's one of the things I learned in real estate from Bob Bolin. I will give a shout out to Mr. Bob Bolin from Andover. So he was my mentor at an independent real estate company, and he used acronyms all day long. So when I came to Keller Williams, I was a professional in all of our acronyms, but he said JAQ, just ask questions. If you ask questions, you can't get in trouble. When you make assumptions, that's where you start getting in trouble. And so it's your job to ask the buyers all these questions about their wants and needs of a property in order to successfully navigate them through the process in a timely fashion. If you're not asking their wants versus needs and getting to know when do they want to close, what they've been pre-approved for, who they're using for lending, who will they be using for an attorney? If you don't have a profile, a clientele, if you don't have information about your buyers, you're not going to be able to successfully get them to the end in a timely fashion or an organized fashion. You don't want to be asking these questions on game day. Okay. And so they want an agent that's organized, that asks the right questions, that teaches the buyer more about the neighborhood, 1%, help find renters of buyers' property, less than 1%. And so this is what the buyers want. In terms of, and again, that's 2018 profile of home buyers. Nonetheless, we're 3 years into it. Okay, let's go. So what do that didn't work. Let me go. Buyer's value. I apologize. It's the Mac, or it's the 3 cups of coffee for this class. What buyers value? So look at the reputation of the agent. I'm telling you right now, on social media can work for you and it can work against you. People have been laid off, fired, call it what you want, because of social media posts. And so that's not there to scare you. I understand that your personal life might be different than your professional life, but as an independent contractor, it's actually not. It's both. So the reputation of the agent with other agents in the industry, the professionals, your buyers, your sellers, and what they see on social media is something that buyers value. The agent is honest and trustworthy. So you work with integrity. Again, we go back to, if you don't know the answer, please just say, great question, I don't know that answer. I'm going to ask the seller agent to ask the homeowner, and I will get back to you. Be honest, be trustworthy. Agent is a friend or a family member, 14%. So 14%, the agent is a friend or family member. Now, give me a couple of benefits that you think is a benefit to use for your friends or family to use you.
Because they may know our track record.
So ready? So they know your track record maybe of honesty and trustworthy, right?
Right.
Yes.
That you have their best interest in mind, since you know them personally.
Right? So they're gonna make an assumption that you have their best interest in mind. It's a confidentiality thing. Some people, when they get pre-approved, what if they're pre-approved for X? That number could be 200, it could be 2 million, I don't care. But it's confidential. And so they want to keep their confidential information with the people that they like and trust. What is sometimes, and this is, again, this is a mindset that we can work through. Sometimes friends and family members don't want to work with us for their financial transaction. Why?
Because they're guarded.
Embarrassed, guarded. What else?
It's way personal.
They think you're too close. And I'm going to say this, they also don't know what you're capable of because you have been a secret agent. Usually it sounds like this. Oh, Brooke, I didn't even know that you could help us buy or sell a property. I just knew that you were in real estate. I love hearing that one. I knew you were in real estate, but I just didn't know.
I didn't know. That's my favorite. Oh, I didn't realize you actually help people with buying and selling homes. I just thought you were in real estate. Like, what does that mean? People don't understand what we do. They see the end result of what we do because we post our closings. We vomit real estate knowledge, and we call everybody and want to vomit real estate knowledge, but we forget to stay in relationships and personal with them. Everybody's scared.
Think about it. You know, my neighbor, I mean, just recently, my neighbor, I moved here in 2013. So, you know, I get to know them a little bit. They're, you know, they're older. They go to Florida like 8 months of the year. You know, I don't know a lot about them. One day he comes over here. I mean, they come over a lot, like with their dogs and just with small talk. And so he's like, Jimmy, what do you do?
But what is it that you do though?
And so I wasn't going to say I'm in real estate. And here's why, because it's my job to teach people what I do. Okay, so please remember that. Do not say I'm in real estate. Okay, or finish it with I'm in real estate. I can help you list your home, buy a property, invest in a property, rent a property, commercial property. I'm in all aspects of the real estate arena. Why do you ask? Do you have a need in the real estate arena that I just mentioned? Now you see that? See, that was just a conversation. You know what he says? Yeah. Can you give me a market analysis on my brother's Newton property? We really need to close it up because I need the money for X, Y, and Z. Sure. And so I went through that process. Now, if you're good with math, dollars and cents, whether I listed the property or even took a 25, 30% referral on a property that went under agreement at 1.5 million based on a 5% commission, 2.5 going to the list agent, 2.5 going to the buyer agent. For me to have that conversation, just one more piece of the conversation when I said, I can help you buy, invest, rent, commercial, you name it. Why? Do you have that's what did it to my neighbor, everyone. Why? Do you have a need in one of the arenas or areas that I just explained? Boom. 25% referral fee for a $1.5 million property for asking the right question. So with friends and family, sometimes they really don't know what you do. Sometimes they think that it's too close, it's personal, and it's your job to, again, it's kind of parlaying. You're just going to spin the conversation on the pros and cons, right? You want the pros of why would you work with me? Integrity, family member, it's private. This is what I do, market knowledge. It goes both ways. Agents' knowledge of the neighborhood. So that's important. It looks like that's important to buyers, that you know the area at which they're purchasing the property. Now, I don't mean that they know that they have poker night and like book club in the neighborhood. They just want to know that, hey, Tanglewood, I do live out here, but it takes me 18 minutes to get to Stop and Shop, whether I'm going to Danvers or North Andover, which is my town. I don't buy this property. It takes too long to get to Stop and Shop. I'm not going to say that, but do you know what I mean? You have to know the neighborhood. Maybe the schools of the neighborhood. All right. Always back up your information. Never trust what you read. If it's the schools, and just because I mentioned that and we'll move on, call the schools, call the elementary school. All of those secretaries have a master list of all of the streets that are designated to the district. And they change them every couple of years. So when I purchased this property, being a real estate agent, by the way, I learned things. I've been doing this since 2009. I really learned something, not once a day, but every week I learned something new that I didn't know. You're not going to know everything that you need to know. And when I purchased this property in 2014, I think 15, the listing sheet said that this was districted for sergeant. And all of my kids already went to sergeant. And I wanted to keep them there. So this girl purchases the property, gets it under agreement. Now that it's signed purchase and sale, I feel like I'm safe and I can tell people, oh my God, guess what? We're going to be purchasing 30 Tanglewood. I tell my beloved secretary at the school, Judy, that I'm so excited about. And she says, what? Tanglewood was redistricted 3 years ago. Actually, you're districted for Kittredge. I was like, no, what do you mean? Okay. And so that little bit of information is stuff that as you go through the process, you're going to get to know. So the knowledge of your neighborhood, and then everything else will follow. So when you're talking about what buyers value, honesty, trustworthy, the agent experience, reputation of an agent is a family or a friend, knowledge of the neighborhood, professional designations held by the agent, active in the local community, agent associated with a particular firm, that's 2%. This is how I look at it. You're an entrepreneurial person. You are powered by Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the umbrella. It's the Amazon Prime of everything that you need to get your business going to the rate at which you run. You want to jump in on command later with smart plans and landing pages and QR codes, and that's you, we have it. That's not your thing. You like to make phone calls and do interpersonal connections and small group, then do that. But we have everything you absolutely need. And so people are picking you because of you. Then they're going to pick you because of who you're associated with and the market share and the customer experience of what they've heard about Keller Williams. 100% accessible because of use of technology like a tablet or a smartphone, 5%, shocking. What did everybody, so COVID, right? COVID, gotta love COVID. COVID actually changed the game in technology. If my parents, all they could do is open up a text message. They can't even enlarge the picture of their grandkids because they're like, how do I do that? I'm like, you click the picture in the text. Okay. But everybody was forced to learn how to use the what. If you wanted to go to a restaurant to eat, what were you doing?
Scanning with that QR code, which is hysterical because I've been using these since right after flip phones. Like I'm like QR code, like you'd go to a library, QR codes, you'd go to a museum, QR codes. And then People made fun of me for putting them on marketing. And I was like, just you wait. Someday my QR codes will shine. They did.
You know what it was, guys? And this is what I'm saying though. So when QR codes came out, you had to download an app. There was too many steps. You had to download an app, then you had to open the app to actually use the code. When a pandemic happened, Apple and Androids, they got together and said, you know what? Look at this. In the back end, we can change the programming on the back of your phone. So now your camera will automatically be able to do that. And that QR code allowed you to look at a menu without touching a menu. And everybody learned how to use a QR code from an early age to 100 years old. And so the QR code is valuable. Technology is valuable. So smart plan, where it says less than 5%, that was 2018. I'd be curious to see the 2022 up to 2021 results about buyers. They want you to have some sort of technology, something. All right. Now you sign forms where? Through DocuSign, through Dotloop. There's no more meeting at the attorney's office with like a big pile of papers to sign each of them individually. Now everything is online through the email. Click here, click here, click here. And so you don't have to drive your business through technology, but you have to have what Brooke calls, again, the scuba diving versus the snorkeling. You got to have a snorkeling point of view of at least how technology works a little bit with your consumers. It's really important.
Because they're going to look for it. Here's the other important thing. If you don't give it to them, they're going to find it. And it may not be your information out there. So that's why we provide so much training, because they are looking for it.
So again, what buyers want and what buyers value, do you think that you should have some of those things in your value proposition as what you bring as an agent to your clients when you're working with buyers?
Yes.
Yes. It's like the cheat sheet. Those pages 6 and 7 of the toolkit, that is what you need in your value proposition. Now, if you don't have market knowledge, then one of your things to master by Friday is to jump onto your MLS and go through the online CMA training, which is an hour taped comparative market analysis report on how to collect information about a property. Don't be overwhelmed. I have to know all these graphs and language. No, you have to actually one at a time, just one at a time, learn a little bit. Go to an open house this weekend. Go to a broker open, things like that. Okay. So what do sellers want? So according to the profile of the home buyers and sellers in 2018, check out these graphs. Let me turn to my page, please.
It's just incredible because, guys, if you look, these pies are pretty, they're almost the same. All these little pieces, not big difference. We're looking at 35% other, whatever that means, right? But you got 16% is the reputation of the agent. 19% is if they are honest and trustworthy, right? Like, oh, I'm on the wrong slide. Hold on.
Well, those are what the buyers do value, by the way. So good job, Brooke. But now we're going to be talking about sellers today. And what's the biggest cost? 20% right here. 20%. Actually, if you look at, you can't see the numbers, but it's 20% on help seller market home to potential buyers, 20% help price home competitively, and 19, which is close to 20%, to help sell their home within a specific time frame. So think about that. We talk about
technology back into, right? Because if you are not tapping into the different technology, leave command alone. Any technology the brokerage uses, Facebook, different platforms, that's what's important. They want to know, how are you going to find my buyer the fastest using marketing? How are you going to get my property out there?
Listen, I mean, back in the day, it was easy to put the information of a listing into MLS, which is the back-end database that only agents have access to. I pay $87 quarterly to put my listing information into this little spreadsheet, and it syndicates out to all of those .coms to show that this property is available. What it also does is your multiple listing service where you're putting your listing in. That is the secret database that only real estate agents have access to. So in there, it has compensation, which many of you, this is why we're working for compensation and to help buyers and sellers. It has specific forms sometimes that are not out on the public platforms yet. Seller's disclosure, plot plans, exclusions and inclusions, anything that you might need to know. Sometimes in firm remarks or in disclosures, it says seller needs to find suitable housing. So it's going to be contingent upon the seller actually finding something when you bring in the buyer's offer. It's going to give you information that does not get syndicated out to Zillow, Realtor.com. And so the value proposition of MLS is to have those areas that you can't get anywhere else. Does this make sense?
Yep.
So, right. And so you're utilizing these platforms. So when Brooke turned around, when Brooke said marketing and technology, it says help seller market home to potential buyers. The first thing you're doing is putting it into this platform and it's syndicating out. But you can do more. You can run an ad on Facebook. You can put a social media post out. You can print beautiful marketing flyers and go around, if you feel comfortable, to the 150 homes within the area, knock on doors and invite them to the open house and educate them that there's a property coming soon. You can make phone calls. Again, disclosure, don't make any phone calls unless you've checked the do not call list on the do not call registry. Our region sends out emails all the time about please, 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 if you're going to circle prospect or call, then make sure that you're running their phone numbers through the system because it's a huge fine and they're coming for you. Everybody wants money right now, so they'll find you and they will find you. Find and find, Brooke, find
They
and
will.
find.
They will find and fine, and they take it very seriously. You have to have permission to market to them or call them.
Yes. So this is what I find interesting about what sellers want. And we forget this. I know I forgot it when I was in direct sales. Help find buyer for the home is 14%. But what about helping the seller find their next forever home? See, we always go for the listing when we go for the listing presentation or we talk to people. But the number one question should be, where are you going? When do you want to be there? And who's helping you through that process? It's the same thing with my neighbor. The fact that I said, hey, just jokingly, is there anything that you need in any of those areas that I just rattled off in my front yard, 20 below? And he was like, yeah, I do. I have an expensive Newton property. And so remember, always ask them, where are they going? When do they want to be there? And who's going to help them find that or take them through that process? Even if it's North Carolina, Florida, Washington, Texas, you can refer this business to another Keller Williams agent in the referral source. You'll learn that through Brooke, you'll learn that through your market center, but we have a huge referral network. So help with negotiations and dealing with buyers, 14%. So if you looked at negotiations on both of them, do you think that the word negotiation should be somewhere in your value proposition? Yes. Yes, you should know how to effectively negotiate for your sellers and how to effectively negotiate with your buyers. And there's going to be crossover. You're going to be such a professional at the negotiations that if you're so good at what you do, you know that you're almost negotiating against your own self because you know the skill set that you have, that you're protecting your sellers here. But if you were protecting your buyers and you were up against yourself, I'd be like, no, 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 because you're so good at what you do. And when you protect your buyers and you ask for what you want with the buyers, we want, Gary, I think it was, the septic situation. We want this to go through. Unfortunately, we've come up with a snag with the Title V and the septic, and it looks like it's going to cost, and again, so it's going to cost $5,000. And the seller always says, I'm not paying it. I'm selling this property. And the buyers are like, I haven't even bought this property. I don't want a $5,000 problem. So what do? Whose responsibility is it? Ooh, this is a good question.
Well, it was at this case, can I butt in?
You absolutely can.
All right, in this case, the seller took care of the necessary repairs and they split the cost of the additional excavation.
Okay, so that sounds like a happy transaction where,
It was.
right, amicable people use their head, okay, and they were level-headed on responding to a situation. You know what? I shouldn't have to pay for it. You shouldn't have to pay for it. Let's just meet in the middle and like, let's call it a day. That's great. Most of the time with reacting, the seller and the buyer are like, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. And your job is to negotiate some sort of happy medium. And my question as to whose fault is it? There's no one's fault. It's something that came up that was unforeseen, and someone has to pay for it in order to successfully close the property. If the buyers walk away and say, I am not paying for it, the seller's going to put it back on the market and someone is going to purchase it. However, the seller's probably going to have to go fix it because now they'll have to disclose there's a problem. If there's a problem with the septic, what did I say about lending?
Yep.
They're not giving you the money.
That's right.
You're going to have to find a cash buyer. So negotiating and dealing with buyers is a real, is something that should be in your value proposition. Now, what's the seller's value? So in your books on page 9, you have a client-centered language sellers. It says, what skills do you have or services do you offer that align with what sellers want? So we just talked a little bit about what they wanted. They want the seller to be marketed home to potential buyers, for the price to be competitive, to sell the home within a specific time frame, help find a buyer for their home, help sellers find ways to fix up the home to sell it for more profitability. 14% want that. This is not time for you to be HGTV, by the way. Okay, stay in your lane. Okay, stay in your lane. You're not in there to talk about taking down walls and this and that. You're offering a little information that if every room, for example, was painted all bold colors, you could say, listen, if this was all neutral and somebody came in here for 10 grand and made everything Benjamin Gray, it would be more appealing to the buyer for move-in ready. Or maybe you do a 5,000 concession for, for them for like a painter or something like that. Like you can get creative, but you're just offering solutions, right? You're not going in there like HGTV.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Hi.
Virginia's here.
Back.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late. I'm a slacker, actually. I was stuck in a never-ending realtor board committee meeting, which is actually, so if you guys aren't involved in your realtor boards and you want to get involved with committees, please do. It's a great way to meet other industries and other agents. So Virginia Frost hopping in to help teach. I don't want to derail the train here. But what I wanted to ask Jamie is, what if I had, and I know you guys probably talked about this earlier, what unique skills are you bringing in from a different industry that maybe you had before that would cater to you in this role? So what if I was an interior designer? Would that be something that I could bring that skill in when I'm listing a property? And do I have, stay in your lane? Yes. But also, like, if I've done this professionally before, that is my lane. So if I can extend that expertise to this person and then add that to my unique value proposition with my clients that, hey, I used to be an interior designer. I help stage all of my listings. I help work with the buyer to pick the right paint colors that would best net you the most money for your home. So don't be afraid to utilize those skills. Yes, don't put a different hat on, right? But if you have those skills, be true to that. And that can be something that you can add that might set you aside from Joe Schmo realtor who doesn't have that experience. So just remember to pull in that old expertise that you might be able to utilize.
Yeah, we had a couple people. One woman, she had knowledge of and must have worked like in one of the towns for building inspections and things like that for environmental. We have somebody that's in luxury hotels. We have waitresses. We said at the beginning too, and exactly, Virginia's 100% right. if that is a skill set in your previous of what you did before real estate or what you're doing as a dual career, obviously bring that in. And again, yes, stay in your lane. There's just certain keys to it. They want that agent knowledge. The seller needs that. It's 14%. And I can only assume that, again, I say HGTV, but this is 2022. It had to have gone up from there. Because when you look at a lot of these homes, and we talked about pictures, Virginia, when you look at them, it's so different looking at homes online today than it was 10, 15 years ago. Everything looks so nice. Like the pictures look nice, the colors look nice. So somebody's obviously added a touch to the seller, or the seller naturally has done it on their own. There's been suggestions. And so with the sellers, what they value, the agent experience we went through. And so Virginia, I think this is a perfect time as we turn to the next section of who are your competitors.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted from speaking, and so I will get the slides and you can go ahead and oh, are you doing that, or is that me? Who are your competitors?
No, that's you. She can't control.
I have no control. It's
Okay.
it's a parallel to my life, right?
It's me.
It's you. There you go.
So yeah, Jamie was saying, who are your competitors? Is it important to know who your competitors are when you are going up against someone else for an opportunity? Of course it is. You want to know, like the back of your hand, what your own unique value proposition is, but taking into consideration what other people may be bringing to the table is important, because you're having a conversation with someone who maybe has had a conversation with someone else. So it's important to know where the perception is. Be really confident in your own unique value proposition, but also be aware of what else is out there and what external forces are pushing in and making an impact on that person's decision making as to who they're going to work with. Do you guys individually, do you know who your local competitors are? Who are you competing with for clients and commission? And what is their value proposition? Why would someone choose them? And how do you counter those value propositions? So knowing how to overcoming objections, or like, hey, people are going to push you on your value all day. I go to a listing appointment, I tell them how I'm unique, how I have staging and flip experience, and that I do that for all of my clients, and this is what I charge for my service because I have, this many years in the business. Or if I'm brand new, I'm brand new, but I have all of these resources behind me in training and mentorship and team support, that if I don't know the answer to a question, I will go find it out for you. And guess what? You're one of my maybe 2 clients. So I have all the time in the world to be taking care of you. And I'm walking in there having studied the market and having that knowledgeable conversation with them about it. But also too, when they're like, well, I talked to Joe Realtor and he said that he would do it for X%, which is lower than what you were charging. I can appreciate that, Mr. Seller. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. One thing I would ask you is if Joe Realtor, isn't safeguarding his own investment, his own commission with being in business with you, how would you trust him to then safeguard one of your biggest investments and biggest, transactions of your life, which is the sale of your home? Wouldn't he fight more for himself than he would for you? And how does that show? Doesn't that show? And if they're pushing you on commission, just again, lean into that value proposition. Can you reduce your commission to get a client? Of course, but that's the last option. You want to fight for why you're worth it and what you're going to go the extra mile to do for them. Any questions?
Virginia, I just wanted to add to everyone, when we talk about competitors, I mentioned to you all go to open houses. You know the names of the people that potentially could be some of your competitors that you're up against, but getting to know their personality and their style by going to open houses is a big thing. Because when you're there, you'll see, are they personable? Do they talk? Do they ask great questions? What did they provide? Do they do something extra? Is there a book of the property that is a nice binder? What did they do that was different, and get to know their styles? It's just another way on how to know their personalities that you'll be up against.
And don't forget now, guys, technology is a competitor as well. Get to know what those other websites and the people who are trying to put you as realtors out of business are doing and saying. Because at some point, somebody's going to say to you, well, I can pay a $25 fee and see the house and they take care of everything. You got to know what that fee includes. You've got to know what those other technologies are saying to people. So make sure you read up on that and read your Inman articles on those iBuyers and different platforms.
Yeah, and know your, this is where, like, if you have your, if you have Brooke, or if you have a local technology trainer, like, just know all your tools. The more you know your tools, the more you know what you can offer people in their own home search or their own home sale, to offer them for tools that is going to set you apart from anybody else out there. Every time it's like, well, why would I list my home with you when I can just like go to Zillow, and all the information on Zillow? It's a really great website. Everybody goes there. I can just put it on there myself. I'm like, yeah, you can, but half the data that, Zillow is estimating, your Zestimate, they've never been through your house. They don't know if you have, if your roof needs to be changed, or if you've had water damage, or on a positive side, if you have radiant heat floors. Like, they're not making these micro adjustments and market adjustments for and catering that price to actually sell. And your own unique, your seller's unique personal position. Like, to Jamie's point, where do you need to go? How, within what time frame do you need to be there? That's something that a human will always need to be in the situation in order to price the home accordingly to get that seller what they need and what they want.
With technology, to go off of what Virginia said, get to know that you have an app designed for you, and the consumer app for the people that you'll be working with. If you know how to use it, then you can show them exactly with what Virginia just said. If they're going to be moving to, say, Marco Island, then on the app, you can show them how they can look for properties in Marco Island. And remember, all the things that they're doing on the app, if they're looking for more information about a property and things like that, you're going to get pinged that this person is looking for more information about the Marco Island property. And you start to control the clientele. So the technology, your websites, your app, the platforms, when you start showing your buyers and sellers these items, this is a big value proposition that you have, because you're giving them the instant gratification of what they're looking for. And they don't know that you're like the big daddy in the back end, and you're kind of seeing what they're doing, so that you can softly and don't abruptly.
Don't be a creep.
Hey, don't be a creep. Don't be like,
don't be a creep.
Brooke, I see you're looking at 138 Main Street, Marco Island. I want to help you.
Blocked.
It's like with a little bit of grace, like, hey, Brooke, I haven't, talked to you in a couple of days. There's a lot of properties, going on the market in Marco Island. I was going to send you some, like, you want to do it softly. You'll
Judge them. Judge it. Judge.
But the technology, the technology that the competitor has, and again, it doesn't matter, Cold Bank or Remax, this one, that one, they don't have a personalized app that gives them all this database of what, like, a Zillow and what you're seeing on the screen can give, and have the back daddy capabilities to look to see what your consumer is doing. They don't have that. This is a huge value for your clients and for your business.
Well,
and I'll tell you guys,
what I would just stress on that, guys, like, when the app first came out, I got on it, I downloaded it myself. Remember that when you get the client facing app, you are interacting with it as a client, not as an agent side. So know the tool that you're using and from what perspective it's meant to be used.
Mm-hmm.
But what my biggest thing for my people is I sent it out to my people and I was like, hey guys, like, are you sick of big data? Like, are you sick of being on a website and having someone reach out to you who knows nothing about you or what it is that they know nothing about the property that you're inquiring about? Here is a tool where the only person who knows what you're doing is your trusted real estate professional that's already in your world, or your sister or your aunt, or whatever my individual relationship with them is here's a tool where you can look all over the United States and not be limited by anything. And I'm always just a text away, or I'm right here. So if you ever need me or want to set up a showing, I'm right here. but you don't have, they're not big in the data cog. Like for me, like I hate it. I hate the big data. That's all they're using me for is what am I doing? What am I searching for? And they're safeguarded from that if they're using your app, because you're the only one who can see any of their activities or have any of their contact information.
And I'll tell you guys this too, if I can give you a wicked nerd tip right now, it's they're going to send you properties that are not from your website, that are not from your app, from Z who shall not be named, from the big R's, the CBs. Take that property, put it in your phone, in your app as the consumer, and pick up the property and text it back to them, share it back to them from the app and say, is this the property? Just verifying this is the same property you were looking at. You know, in the future, please use my app so I know it's the most up-to-date data. I don't control what you see or if it's up to date on these other platforms. That's like, if you can train your brain to do that and not reply or send a Z who shall not be named one back, you're ahead of the game. Get them back to your ecosystem.
Agree. I'm super excited about this activity because I know that Brooke and Jamie are good at what they do. So I'm going to blame all y'all for not being engaging. So I want to hear more of your voices, and I know that they're good at what they do. So otherwise we're just talking at you, and that's miserable for the amount of time that we're here. So you guys are creating the experience. So on this activity, Jamie, why don't you explain it? Cause I'm still like not sure what you're covered.
Yep, page 13 of your toolkit, you'll see value proposition statement. So now that we've visualized our value in one place, we talked about buyer, what buyers want, what their value is, what their needs are, and we've talked about the sellers. It's time to craft your value proposition statement. And I told you we'd be doing this activity together. And then I put my information in the chat box if you ever wanted to send it to me and for me to look at it. While I'm doing that, Virginia and Brooke, if you guys want to put your information as well, we want to be a source for you. There's nobody to go to in your market center, again, just reach out to us and we'll take a look at it. So this
You're nicer than me, Jamie. I was going to pick a few unfortunate souls and make them share their value proposition. So you guys better have something to share because you might get picked out of the crowd. All of a sudden we're going to see their cameras go off. But
this is where thanks, Virginia. This is where all the participation dies.
No, this is the fun part. This is my favorite.
This is fun because you know what, guys, practice on us, not your clients. This is the best place to do it because you're with your peers.
Well, it's trial and error. All the words that we talked about and that we put in the chat at the beginning that you're great at, that you bring to the table, that you're confident in yourself in the current career that you have now or that you've done in the past, all of those qualities are going to be put into your value proposition. Your statement is a unique, memorable, and persuasive statement that expresses the true value of working with them. So you're going to say what you do to earn your commission, which I don't even like saying that. So we're going to can that out. It holds you accountable to high standards. So right now we're going to talk about my value proposition and the skills, the knowledge, the services, the character of what you embody to be able to come up with a couple of lines as to working with me, my value to you, the buyer, my value to you, the seller is ... That is what we're going to be working on. So you're going to take a few moments and you're going to distinguish yourself with the information that we talked about what buyers and sellers want and what they value. So they're giving you the answers. This is what they want. This is what they value. You might not fall into every single one of them, but you got to bring in some of those key resources that you feel confident in that make you. Okay, so this is the activity, I would say.
Jamie,
yes.
Janelle said, what page is it? She doesn't have the toolkit printed out, but she wants to see it so she can write it on paper.
Sure. So on page 13 in the toolkit of Spark 6, yes. On page 13, it says your value proposition. On page 12 is a little roadmap, a cheat sheet of a Venn diagram where it says my value proposition is in the middle of the circle. For those that don't have it, it just says my value proposition. And then it has all these lines. And all of those lines are things of what services do you do that you think would be great to a buyer or seller? What about your character? What about your skill set? I mean, remember, we talked about somebody is Roberto, I think, in luxury hotels, and Bilingual from Italy, the Four Seasons, which we all know has high customer service. So his high customer service knowledge, he's going to be writing somewhere in there 4-star, 5-star customer experience. With my experience in the hotel and restaurant industry, ... Okay, you want to use the words either negotiate, market knowledge. Now remember, I said this at the beginning too, and so Virginia will understand where we're at. You're crafting your value proposition, even if you don't have the market value, market understanding, market knowledge yet. You still have to have that in there because you're going to learn it. You're still in the learning phase of things, but you now know what buyers and sellers want, need, and value. If you need help on that, we've also put, and Brooke could probably put it in again, the Google Drive where this slideshow is and the toolkit, and it gives you those answers.
I'm trying to copy because Amy asked for the toolkit.
Yep, it's right at the beginning. If you scroll all the way to the top of the chat, Virginia, it's the first things that we put in.
Yeah, I'm gonna put, yeah, but I wasn't here. So I'm gonna go back to the,
No, I know, on the chat, if any of, like, any agent that's here, if you click chat and you scroll up to the top, and by the end of our thing today, we will put it in again in terms of like that. But the unique value proposition, what kind of things, and we can do this together, what kind of words should at least stick out when you're building this? Let's call it an elevator speech. 60 seconds of like, to a buyer. Okay, so let's just work with the buyer. So to a buyer, my value proposition should be what? What should I know for a buyer to hire me?
Jamie, I feel like I just really want to say his name. So Roberto Marchetto.
Yeah, it's actually Roberto Marchetto, but not to worry.
So what would you say to, okay, we're working with buyers. So what would you say to set yourself apart with a buyer so that I should choose you as a buyer?
Well, I would probably venture out, leverage on my experience of having relocated throughout the world in different countries at different time. I know how the process can be, frustrating sometimes, and how can that, the home buying process may be it's a big decision amongst other things that you're doing in your life. So what I do bring to that is the fact that the buyer, I understand what the buyer is going through, and I can make it as seamless as possible for that experience. I obviously vow to be of service. I vow to be, keeping the level of service high when it comes to adhering to their needs and their wants. Things like that. I haven't quite formulated it yet.
All right, well, that's what we're here to do today, is to help you guys formulate, to walk away with being able to insert these into your buyer propositions, your buyer meetings, and your listing appointments as well. Because if you don't know your own value of what you're bringing to the table as a real estate professional, anyone that you're trying to get into a relationship with, to work with, isn't going to understand that either. So that's why we're here today working on that. Does anybody else have? Let's switch over to sellers. Does anybody have a statement?
I would say when you're thinking about this, hopefully by now you've been introduced to our belief system in KW on the Y4C2Ts. And the Y4C2Ts for every KW and market center, those are the values, a win-win or no deal. When you're an agent at Keller Williams, we talk about this belief system, the integrity to do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things that you do. Communication, seek first to understand. We talked about that today, right? Ask great questions and be solution-based. Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork, together everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. equity, opportunity for all, and success result through others. And so that belief system is a value proposition that we have here at Keller Williams for agents and their consumers and clients to work with Keller Williams as a company and the agents here. You heard all the words that we discussed today: integrity, honesty. And so you're going to merge in negotiations. Why? Because that's what buyers value. That's what sellers value. You have to learn how to negotiate to the best to your client's ability, what they want, to get them the best price possible in the right amount of time. So this is what we're talking about when we talk about what your value is. It doesn't have to be a paragraph. They could be words of bullets. It could just be a bunch of words and it says, here are my value propositions. Negotiations, this is what I do. My integrity is this. Communication, seek first to understand. That's good. And you can explain that when you're talking to buyers and sellers. Instead of going into reactive mode, by reacting, I work in a response mode. What I mean by that is there's always going to be ups and downs through the real estate process. And my job is to navigate that journey successfully for you in a non-reactive manner. And so there's going to be a lot of interaction between you and me, Mr. Buyer or seller, as to a give and take, a relationship. So all of these things is what we're talking about when we talk about what value do you bring to the table. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay.
And if you guys are lost too, go back to those pages where it says, what does a seller want and need? What does a buyer want and need? So you can craft it around that. Here's an example. This is from the last time that we did this. And it's really bad. I remember last time someone shared one and it blew me out of the water. And I was like, well, I don't want to say mine now, but this is an example of a mediocre one, guys. My promise to you, this is to a seller. My promise to you is to deliver you a 5-star experience. I will properly price your home to compete in the market of today. I will communicate with you throughout the process and be your trusted advisor to get you what it is that you desire out of this home. I will make sure that you are cared for in protecting your asset. I will provide top-notch preparation. I will provide my top-notch preparation process to stage, photograph, and strategically and professionally market your property and negotiate your deal to net you the most money. Like, that was clunky and awful, but like, that's just an example of something like what you could see, you could feel into it, like cared for, setting the stage for a 5-star experience. That's something that comes later where it's like, you want to set the stage, like I'm making you 2 promises. One, that you're going to have a 5-star experience and that you're going to want me to work with everyone that you are in relationship with. So it's like, I'm going to ask you for a referral later and I'm going to make sure that you have, and then at the end, is there any reason why you wouldn't have felt like this was a 5-star experience for you? No. And if yes, then why? You guys can get it. It's all about effective communication with human beings.
Let me ask this question. If you were a buyer or a seller right now in today's market in 2022, and this is an individual personality thing, what are you looking for in the agent? So now we're going to reverse it. You're actually listing your property. What's important to you?
Has anyone here ever sold a property? Raise your hand. Janelle, Lauren.
As an agent or just in general?
As a consumer, as a client.
As a consumer.
Yes. Yeah.
What was your experience with that? No names, but what was your experience with that agent? What did you like about that experience with that agent? Start positive.
That they just came to the house and sat down. I flip houses, so I do like 1 or 2 a year. So that's kind of how it was. So it wasn't so much of a, oh, I would need you to sell my house that I've lived in the past 10 years. It was more or less just, can you sell it quick? For what's the commission and stuff like that. So,
but they were receptive to the fact that time on market, you were sensitive to time on market. You didn't want it to sit around, right? Like everyone's needs are different.
What's that?
I said everyone's, and this is an important conversation for everyone to hear. Mark is a flipper. or was a flipper. So what was important to him is going to be very different than, you know, Mary, homeowner who's lived here for 35 years and raised all my kids here, and I'm emotionally attached to the place, right? So Mark wants it to go fast. It's a business investment for him. And his biggest concern is his return on his investment. So his two talking points are speed and commission costs. So if I'm going into that conversation, I know exactly what I need to focus on. Who else here has sold a house? Janelle, I saw your hand. Have you sold a house as a client?
Yeah, like I was the person selling.
Yep. And how was that experience? Did you use an agent?
Yep. So he's actually the person that convinced me to join Keller Williams. I had a rental property in Newport, and he helped us buy it and sell it.
And tell me about what your needs were in that situation, and did he deliver to that?
So we were selling it so that we could buy our current house, our like family house. And he was just very, I ask a lot of questions, like I want to understand what's happening throughout the process. And he was just very informative. Like he didn't get annoyed with me and my thousands of questions. And he was just very helpful. Like he was just always available to me, which I like that. And now he convinced me to join Keller Williams. Now I'm a realtor. So, but yeah, and like I still talk to him. He's still very available even now. So that was good.
So so Janelle and Mark had very different needs in this situation, but the agents read what that is that they needed and they delivered on that to a stellar experience where they would say they had a positive experience. So Janelle needed communication. She wanted to be educated on the process, and availability was important to her. So those are all different different value pieces as well. Let me get one more. This is the most participation. All right, I saw one more hand. Who was it?
Don't be shy. Amy.
My experience, I would say, was more like the communication, kind of like I think it was Janelle was saying, that I wanted to know a lot of like what was going on, have it all be explained to me at the time, and so being able to like reach out and be responded to quickly and stuff was important to me, and I got that. So
great. How many of you have had a horrible dining experience? How many of you gone to a restaurant and it doesn't matter how the food is, right? So the person who's bringing you they weren't, like, how many people have had a horrible dining experience? Everyone, right? So right or wrong or good or bad, that experience, it's teaching you something about customer service. Wow, if I served a table, this is how I would not act. This is how I would act. This is how I would make the guest feel. Same thing with real estate. So create a stellar experience that someone wants to refer you more business because they enjoyed it so much that they want you to then work with the people around them.
I mean, look at Janelle. Janelle said the experience working with her agent somewhat inspired whatever was triggered in her before about thinking about getting into real estate to actually going through with it, because the experience was so great and knowledgeable that it actually motivated her to do that. And that's a big thing. We talked about the experience before. So what qualifies as an excellent real estate experience, right? We talked about those, the vendors and the allied resources. When you're knowledgeable and have relationships with builders, plumbers, landscapers, we talked about staging, painters, things like that. You know, the experience as to what you bring to the table, it's information. It's how you deliver it, how you effectively communicate it. Do you seem confident? It's all about confidence. I mean, you know, I talked about dollars and cents, and sometimes I say, you fake it till you make it. You know, what I mean by that is, you know, there's a passion on why you want to be an entrepreneurial person in real estate. You have to take that passion with your knowledge and experience to create that arena. Virginia's right. You know, a lot of us, when you go to a restaurant, I hate to say this, and I told you guys I own restaurants, you know, within the first 3 minutes, should you really stand up and walk out or should you sit there? Even though I told all of you that my dad said that everyone is showing up the best they possibly can, given those circumstances of the time and moment, You just know because you're looking for something. And so it's the same thing when you're meeting with an agent. Does the agent ask great questions? I told you, when you don't know what to do, it's your job to create a VIP 5-star profile on your clients. The more you ask, the more interest you have in what they want as a buyer or seller. That's where you're going to tailor into the value. Virginia just asked a question, and it's like, you can ask your sellers the question, what are the top 3 things that you're looking for when hiring a real estate agent? Boom. As soon as they tell you the 3 things that they want, then Mark's going to turn around and be like, I got all those things, A, B, and C, and address that. It's not a guessing game. Come out and ask people, what are you looking for? If somebody says, I'm looking for somebody that has commercial knowledge that can help us sell our portfolio for a 1031 exchange, and that sounds like French to you, you're still going to write that down and say, you know what? I'm going to get you the best. We're going to team with the best commercial person here at Keller Williams with me involved to ensure that we can get that done. What else isn't important to you? So it's asking those great questions in order to create the experience. Don't guess their experience. Everyone's experience is different.
Well, and it's every conversation is catered to the person that you're having it with. Like if I, like with Mark and Janelle, it's a different consumer. It's a different client. Mark's focus is different than Janelle's. He probably didn't care about that person telling him the process. He's like, just get it done and get me my money so I can go on to the next flip. You know what I mean? And Janelle's like, I want to know everything and I want to feel secure that I like that I'm in the right hands and that you're knowledgeable and that I almost want to learn through the process too. So I'm more knowledgeable at the end of it. So
and that's residential, Virginia. We talked about this. Mark's a flipper. That falls into a non-emotional attachment. Mark doesn't care about the property. He's flipping it. He's looking for dollars and cents. Janelle is looking to raise her family there, or to raise herself there, or to enjoy a comfortable environment. So there's a little bit more personal attachment with that. That's why you have to know exactly. You have to know the consumer that you're dealing with on the other side.
well, and it's not going to do the conversation is not going to do anybody any good if you're not on the same page. So start with questions first. So then your conversation can be more intentional. If I'm going in and I'm like, I've got my song and dance, I've worked with 3 buyers and I had a listing, I got it down. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to tell these people all these impressive things about myself. And I'm going to go and do all these things. And at the end, I'm expecting them to sign and they don't. And I'm like, well, I did all the things. I touched all the points. But it was a one-way conversation. You never had asked them what it is that they need or what is important to you about this process and how can I best serve you so I can determine whether or not I'm the best person for you. Can you imagine how that's someone's coming in and you're coming in and someone's guarded, they're thinking, oh, they're a realtor, they're in sales. But can you imagine if you flipped the script and you said, I want to make sure that you're working with the best person for your particular situation. So in order for me to understand if I'm the right person for that, I'm going to ask you some questions first. And what if through that probing, you realize that you're not the best person? And then you refer them to someone else. That conversation, they're like, whoa, that person just totally talked me out of using them, but then gave me the right person. I've never had dealt with a salesperson that was like that at all. Or you generate that rapport and you realize together, like, I'm the best person for this person to be utilizing. And then you're in it together and they do feel safe and they want to move forward and use you. Communication is a powerful thing.
All right. So we're going to move on just a little bit. I did mention, Virginia, at the beginning for everybody that we're just going to snorkel our way through some of the rest of the material because they're actually going to what Brooke calls deep sea dive or scuba dive with your own market centers, how to fill out forms and how to do certain things that are pertain to your local areas. But so far for value proposition, how has your thinking changed and what ideas and mindset were new for you? How do you feel about, we spent 2.5 hours almost talking about value for buyers and for sellers and their wants and needs. So How do you feel now? What has changed? How do you think about that?
I think it's important to remember that like anybody can be like kind, anybody can be organized and stuff, but to like what makes you different, more like more in depth of what makes you different to make you a better agent.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I mean, you never thought that defining your value could be a 2.5, 3 hour conversation, but your value in this profession has to mirror and match somewhat what they need, the buyers and sellers. And that will be the experience that you create. That's the story that they're going to create for referral business. And that's the story in the industry amongst professionals. When they've had a great experience with you, they're going to tell that story. And when they tell that personal story as a buyer or seller, most likely, by the way, buyers and sellers already know someone that's in the real estate arena, whether it's a family or a friend. When that story gets back that Amy was so great, she was organized, articulate, she asked us great questions, she had a questionnaire sheet at the beginning that asked us about our wants and needs. We got most of what we needed. We really wanted a couple of these things, but her relationships in the industry, we were able to change out the carpet to hardwood floor, and she had a fantastic painter that went in to change all those colors to a neutral before we moved in. She was phenomenal. That's the experience that's the story that you want out there. How do you feel differently about today, about coming in before? I know some of you are apprehensive because you don't know what you don't know yet. And so you might not know market knowledge and you have to put that in there, but how do you feel now knowing some of the information that we talked about today?
Gary, I saw you unmuted. Did you have something to share?
I'd lost you for a while, so I had to get out and then come back in because the audio wasn't working.
Gotcha.
So,
Technology.
yes, and that is actually what I was gonna say. Technology. I have a new Mac, and I'm coming from Windows, and it's been a hindrance because it's so different. And so the last 3 weeks, I've been fighting and struggling with the transition. However, it's starting to work today. I actually have Zoom up where I can control it, and I'm not using my tablet. So it's all good, and I have multiple screens kind of available now. And so those things, it's just wonderful.
Embrace the suck of the transition, Gary.
Because it really can destroy your momentum if you don't have things. It's very frustrating. And I suffer from analysis paralysis quite regularly. And yeah, it was bad, very bad. So I'm just glad that I'm hearing about the technology portion, because it's getting back on Facebook and using Instagram and those types of things that I avoided because I'm very how should I put it? I work with people every day, but when I get home, I shut down, and I had to stop. I have too many contacts not to use them. I have one question about the landing sites.
The landing page?
Yes, the QR. Are you telling me that when I put information, when I put information and I link it to the QR, that will pop up information? Say, for instance, if someone came into a open house, and they scan that, on top of having a book of literature on the table referring to all of this, the information about the property, they could get that in their phone as they're walking around that house and use it.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do. Now remember, a QR code directs someone to something.
Right.
So if my QR code directed them to my app, then they can navigate a lot of stuff. If my QR code directed them to the landing page that I created, remember, a landing page, and I don't know if Brooke's on here, but this is my interpretation. When you go shopping at Macy's.com, Macy's.com is your landing page. And at Macy's.com, there's home furnishings, men, women, beauty, right? And when you click one of those boxes of beauty, men, women, it takes you somewhere else. But the first place that you went to was Macy's.com, which was your landing page, okay? So when you make a landing page about a property and you're selling 123 Main Street, you can make a landing page, 123 Main Street landing page, that has a picture of the property, and you can put in questions. Okay, so you can put the question boxes in where they fill that out. Now, anything they fill out on my landing page that I created with Keller Williams, you're going to get a text message that says, Jamie Camerata just filled something out. Like, Jamie Camerata is a new contact in your phone. Why? Because my landing page was directed and built in the CRM product of Keller Williams Command Platform. So that contact of information, name, phone number, email, already set like a file, a contact file within my command platform. So in terms of actions for you, Gary, right, and this is for everybody, because we're going to be talking about actions, it's very overwhelming what to do next. Okay, we just sat here for 2 hours and 45 minutes, and a lot of you are like, you know what? Let's wrap this up. I got to go to the grocery store. I got to this, I got to that, I got to this. No, what we have to talk about is what Gary was talking about, was what are we going to commit to and do today? One, know your value proposition. So build a little bit of information, paragraph, bullets of what do I bring to the table? I bring this. Okay, we're going to do that. Now, what tools am I going to learn how to use to be able to bring value to buyers and sellers? Well, I got to learn how to do QR codes. If that's what it is today, go find a video on how to create a QR code. They're 3 minutes long. Go into YouTube.
Absolutely.
Right? And if it's just you learning how to do a QR code today, praise the Lord. All right. Tomorrow, it's how to create a landing page. Then how do I connect the QR code to the landing page? Oh, when I learned about QR codes, it says right here, put my HTTP address. When I get a landing page, there's the HTTP address up at the top. I copy paste, I put it in my QR code, connect them, and look at this, it works. You're just doing small things that are going to represent you. Again, if you're like, technology is not my thing, I can't really, then don't spend time here. Okay.
Well,
go ahead, Virginia.
Well, this business is built on relationships, right? So don't get bogged down. The technology is meant to be there to make your facilitation of the relationships easier and scalable. So I can probably communicate with, like, if I think about my sphere, right? I have this many people in my world. I can adequately communicate with that many people and get through that many people in, say, a month. But what if I'm having, like, if I'm getting more people into my world and I'm pulling more people in, I'm pulling more people in, and then now I have a list of past clients. How am I going to communicate with them in a way that they feel loved, cared for on a consistent basis, and that they know that what I do is I'm here to help them professionally. My profession is to help them with their real estate investments, purchases, and sales. So the technology is there to help you cater the relationships. If you don't have the relationships, or you don't have the people in the system to take care of, all the fun QRs and all that, and all the landing pages in the world aren't going to help you facilitate those relationships unless the contacts are in the system.
Right.
So consistency over time on task, adding people, 10 contacts added into your CRM per day.
Yep.
10 conversations a day with Mets or non-Mets. These are people that you've already met, that you know, calling them, telling them this is what you're doing, or not Mets. Are you trying to create new relationships in your world? I would argue start with people you know. When all the people you know are in there, go on to the people you don't know.
I want to say this. Okay. So some of you, this is where I feel as though that people start to check out. They start to check out because some of you feel comfortable reaching out to the people that you know. But more often, most of you are like, ooh, I'm not letting anybody know anything about what I do until I mastered what I do, because I don't want to look stupid and I don't want to over deliver. And so I want to practice it on Mrs. Jones over in the Methuen area first, because I need to master that before I ask my cousin, aunt, uncle, whatever. And what I have to say about that is, think about someone, and if this hasn't happened to you yet, I'll call you, put your phone number in there. Think about someone that has asked for your help, okay? So when you call someone that you know, a conversation, and I call, I want to pick on somebody that hasn't spoken today. Okay, so Catherine is on here. I call Catherine, she's my friend, and I want to ask Catherine for her help and support. Write those 2 words down, please write those down. I need someone's help and support. Help means I need something right now. Support is support. I need encouragement and support during a process of something. So I call Catherine and I say, hey, Catherine, it's Jamie. How are you?
Good, Jamie. How about you?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm great. Happy New Year.
Thanks. Happy New Year to you too. 2022. Great start.
Gosh, thank goodness. And by the way, I got COVID like 3 weeks ago, so that's done. So I'm off to a great start. Got that under my belt.
There you go. Everyone else around me got it except for me. So I'm the chosen one, apparently.
Oh, I love it. The golden child. Well, listen,
Yeah.
do you just have 2 minutes? I just wanted to let you know what I've been up to these days.
All right.
And so I don't care how you say this, you can custom it however you guys want. But this is the important part right here. So Catherine, I wanted to let you know that 2021, I got my real estate license and I've had it for, most of the year. I've been in trainings and this and that, and I can help people buy, sell, invest in rent in real estate. So I'd be doing a disservice to my friends and family to not let you know that if you're thinking about buying, purchasing, renting, second vacation home, I would love to know who I can help. So Catherine, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate right now?
Well, off the top of my head, I'm 25 years old. So basically everyone I know is looking to buy, looking to get out of their parents' house if they haven't already, or looking to stop renting. So I know quite a few names that I could give you.
Excellent. Now break script here. I didn't ask Catherine, do you know somebody, for a yes or no answer. I said, who do you know? I put her on the spot with a who, which means she actually had to think about just for a split second who she might actually know. If I say, do you know somebody, for a yes or no, that conversation gets shut down when she says, I don't know anybody. Okay, have a great day. That's not what I'm looking for. So when I said, who does she know? She said, you know what, I'm 25. I know a few people. They're looking to get out. That's fantastic. Awesome. Well, Catherine, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you 25 business cards that have your contact information on the back of the business cards. Now, how am I doing that, everybody? Avery labels. I'm going to put Catherine's email, Catherine's phone number, her name, and just put them on the back of all my business cards. I'm going to say to Catherine, listen, when your friends or anyone that you know is looking to buy or sell, invest in rent, I would love if you just gave them one of my business cards. That could really help me in my business to achieve my business goals this year. And when I know that a referral came from you, I will properly call and thank you for supporting my business this year. Okay. Now, if I didn't do the choice of the business cards, I could say something like, Catherine, so you don't know anybody right now, so you can't help me immediately, but I need your support. If I send you a text message, would you cut, copy, paste it, throw it up in Facebook and just tag me? That would really support my business, because if people like and trust you and you're referring me, that indirectly might actually allow for me to work with one of your friends or family members. Yeah, sure. I would love to do that. Because here's the thing, they want to help you. You just have to be purposeful on how you want somebody to help you, because people aren't your marketing person. They're not thinking about Lauren. They're not like, oh, I wonder how I can help Lauren. She said she's in real estate. No, get the guessing game out of it. Tell Lauren exactly how you can help and support her. And then say, now, Catherine, what have you been up to? And then she'll say what she's been up to. And then I would end the call with, is there anything that I could help and support you with? Now, that's always a fun one, because you never know what people are going to say. Most of the time people say, no, I'm good. Every now and then somebody throws a curveball and they're like, actually, I sell Pampered Chef, or will you host this party or blah, 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 whatever it is. Okay. And so the contacts added, the conversations a day, the handwritten notes, which is behind being in front of people, the text messaging, the Facebook messaging. Please, friends, family, neighbors, do not be a secret agent and don't be afraid. Just be purposeful, know your value, and then know what you need from them, and then ask them for the same in return. Ask them if they need or help, need you for help and support, and get the word out there. Does that make sense? Because a lot of you, as soon as Virginia said, 10 conversations a day, you're like, who am I calling? What am I saying?
Everyone needs a place to live in.
Yeah. That what
No
is
matter what that looks like for them personally. This is the greatest thing about being in, and if you've had any sales experience with anything else, you maybe possibly sold something that they didn't need, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't get behind the product that you're selling and believe in it, then no one's going to buy anything from you. But here's the kicker with real estate. Everyone needs a roof over their head. They need it. They want it. They want to feel secure. They want to feel safe. They want to feel all these things. And you get the not the luxury. It's such a special relationship. Like you get to be that person for them to help them find this thing.
Yeah, don't get caught up in the details of what you don't know right now. I know somebody said analysis paralysis. Listen, everybody has that. Getting ready to get ready. I bought the binder. I went to Staples. I have my tabs. It's January. I'm ready. I'm making my calendar. I want to lose 30 pounds. Blah, 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 blah. Talk to me February 1st, what that looks like, right? Don't get overwhelmed. And you have to ask for help. As a team leader, productivity coach, operating principal, mentors, ALC members, honestly, we don't know what you need because it doesn't sound, I'm not thinking about you. I want to think about you. I want you to be successful, but if you need something, you got to ask. The home previews per week, I mentioned, you might not be doing 10 open houses. I know that I'm not, but you can look at them online when they come in as new properties and educate yourself. 123 Main Street. Why did they price it this? Oh, okay. It's that 2,400 square feet, 4-bedroom, kind of, all right, I got it. I get why they priced it like that. You want to get to know that's going to help you with what? Market knowledge. The how to have conversations. Virginia talked about it at the beginning, objection handlers, like what to say when somebody says something. We don't want that moment where we're like, oh, I should have said that. And it's like, well, girl, the reason why you should have said that is because you didn't know the objection. You didn't know how you're going to handle what they said, right? Scripts are important. Scripts are in the toolkit. We give you these scripts. Some of you might look at them and say, that's not me. No, it is you. It will be you. And here's why. If you learn the language that we're speaking, how fluent Virginia was, right? When she came on, she was talking to you like she was talking to a seller. She's like, Mr. Seller, when we close your property at the price that was determined, blah, 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 blah. And she went so fast. She just didn't create that. She's been reading scripts for years. And after she's read them for the knowledge, she internalized them. She customized them a little bit to her personality. But at the end of the day, she used keywords. When we sell your house for the price that you want, boom. And it sounds like she owned it. That is why scripts are important for lead generating, identifying objects, to close deals, to speak in terms with the customers that they understand. They're like embedded commands. I just said to you guys, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell? That opened up a conversation. But it stopped with, I don't know anybody. If you did know, who would it be? Is there anybody in your neighborhood that you've noticed has put a lot of trash out on their, out at the trash? Oh yeah, actually, it's kind of weird. There was a house down at the end of the street and they put like baby carriages and this and that. And oh, okay, great. Okay, it's your job to lead them in order for you to gain business. All right, so again, as we go through here, we only have about 25 minutes, but I did hear Brooke say that there's accountability partners and that maybe you guys have grouped up. Is this true? Gary, tell the truth. Do you guys have like partner? No.
Not at this, I do not at this time.
Interesting.
So
Smithers.
does anybody, okay, so some of you are nodding yes, some of you are saying no. So who here, and not all your cameras are on, so you can comment in the chat, but who here does not have a script partner or accountability partner? Okay, so I'm seeing a couple people,
All right. So
a lot of
this is
people.
I think if you would like, because I'm not going to force you, you need to either want it or you don't right now. If you want an accountability partner, and what an accountability partner is that you guys check in each day with each other or twice a week. How's it going? I have a question about Ignite class. What market center are you from? Are you working with any buyers? Okay, if you're looking for accountability, or if you're looking for a script partner, which means you talk once, twice a week, and you go over the scripts from the script book, you role play. If you're looking for that, put your name and phone number and email in the chat. And Virginia, if you don't mind, those people that do that, if you could just screenshot it or write them down. And what I'll do is once she gives that to me, I'll partner you up.
I started doing that. I said Jennifer.
Yeah.
Jennifer
All right,
and
so
Janet.
Virginia's taking care of that. Like, don't be scared. Listen, we're all in this together. All right. Somebody's going to pick Amy, and then they're going to pick Janelle. They're going to pick Jamie. They're going to pick this to buy or sell. It's our personality. It's the value. That's what it is. And you're not going to be able to be great at what you do unless you do the foundational pieces. And January is the perfect month to get uncomfortable, to make some money this year. And so that's what you're here for. All right, let me go
All right.
to a couple more.
Keep
here.
putting your contact in there, guys, because I'm going to be screenshotting this.
Perfect.
I'll
We
wait till
talked
the
about-
end before we log off. And Amy Bate also put up here that there's a small group for script practice too. So she put her contact information if you want more of a group experience, and they're meeting on Zoom
Love it.
as well. But otherwise, we'll be partnering you guys together. So make sure we have your email and cell and name.
And we only want to partner you, like I said, if you want it. I'm not gonna be like, hey, Gary, you didn't put your information in there.
Well, like I said, Jamie's nicer than I am. Well, you guys all get into real estate for a reason, right? It's like work with intention. Like it's not extremely expensive, but it's not extremely cheap to get into real estate, and especially not cheap to maintain it, especially not with your time. So make it worth your while and do all you can do to be successful.
I mean, you're on a KW split. So this is how I look at it when I talk to agents in my market center. You sell a $500,000 property based on a 70-30 split, 6% for royalty fees at 2.5%, 12,500 comes into our market center. Your commission check is $8,000. Okay. So a $250,000 property as your first transaction, you're making $4,000. Now, if you're paying a productivity coach fee, you have to incorporate that. But let's just say that you're not at that moment. It doesn't matter. You need to sell one piece of property, is my point, to cover the costs that it costs you to go take your test, go to school, pass your licensing, your monthly dues, XYZ. You're spending $1,700 to $2,200. You got to sell one property. So that's why you're here today. The 30 people that are still on the call, that's why you're here. All right, next. Lead generating, we talked about that. Contacts and follow-ups. Oh, look at this. So there is a QR code to go back to what everybody was talking about. So this QR code will give you access to the survey to see if today's defining your value proposition was valuable to you. Did the instructors give you information? Did they stay on task? Things like that.
It's where you can go gush about us and tell them how amazing we are. No, I'm just kidding.
If I would have known that this was one of the slides, everybody, then I would have told you that my name is Jen Hovey.
Something other than what it actually is.
And so I'm going to open this up for the next 15 minutes for questions. I'm actually going to just to stop recording so that, let me just see. Okay, so I stopped the recording. Please do the QR code. I'm going to stop sharing my screen in a minute. So if you haven't already, get that teed up on your phone. And I'm a big believer that, okay, so we can see everybody here. I can see the chat. To be an instructor, by the way, it's very confusing sometimes even for us to be able to follow our notes, be interactive, see your hands going up, read a chat. Like that's ADD at its finest, by the way. But I want to know in the next 15 minutes, how are you feeling? What are you going to do next? What are you excited about that you've learned, or that what is your takeaway, or what do you think you need more direction in? You had a question that we could give you the answer and say, go right to this, and that would make you happy today, and you would feel like there was purpose. What is it? Let us help you as two experienced team leaders, agents, productivity coaches. Let us help you today in the next 15 minutes. We all don't need anything.
I have something to say. All right. So I was licensed in Massachusetts first,
Okay.
then in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
I just accessed the MLS in Massachusetts. My first listing will most likely be in Massachusetts.
Okay.
But for me, I'm going to need to talk to you just for a little direction, because my team is focused more in Connecticut right now. I have a few contacts that are in Massachusetts, and they're very helpful, but it's just, they're doing their thing too, and I don't want to, invade on their time too much. But the process from Connecticut to Mass, learning two at this point is interesting. I had a listing appointment, but I wasn't able to access the MLS to do the comparative marketing analysis. But I just met with him anyway, and he asked a question during our interview. And he said, could you come down and look at my property, tell me what I need to do? So I didn't tell him that I didn't have the